And that's probably when we'll come home. It's just like the Soviets had to go home because they went broke. But it's immoral as well. We have accepted now not only the principle of assassination and torture, but we have an accepted principle now of preventive war. This idea of preventive war is aggression. That's fighting people because we're attacking a country because someday they might attack us. And American people have accepted this. Isn't it to me, or at least to me it is, it should be tragic to everybody. Why is foreign policy not even debated, in this election? Who's really quizzing everybody? And there was a little bit of debate in the presidential campaign, but there's no debate about our foreign policy. But we don't have the moral authority to do this. Besides, in a practical sense, it never works. It always fails. Using force on other people, other countries to do our bidding, it always backfires. There's always blowback. There's always unintended consequences. And let me tell you, one thing with certainty is they don't want to kill those individuals who have been radicalized. They don't want to kill us because we're free and prosperous. Believe me, that is not the reason. They are after us to kill us because we're in the wrong place in the world. We drop bombs on a lot of innocent people, and they're sick and tired of it. Another reason why this is very impractical is what is the results of the war in Iraq? Oh yes, we have peace there, and we're coming home, the war is over, everything's hunky-dory. That ain't so. It's not true at all. There's a lot of instability there. As bad as Saddam Hussein was, he had not attacked us. Besides, he used to be our ally. We used to give him nuclear technology and other things like that. And of course, Osama bin Laden used to be our ally, and we fought a war along with him. But when Saddam Hussein was in charge of his country, as bad as he had more tolerance for Christians than the Iraqi government has right now. All the Christians have been run out of Iraq. What about the practical results? This government, guess who their best allies? Iran. We've been fearing Iran. People in this country want to go to war against the Iranians. And yet now the Iraqi government are the Shiites aligned closer with the Iranians than ever before. So there's been no practical benefit, and the loss of life and the injury and the illness and brain injuries that have occurred, and the spending of $1 trillion. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. And then on top of that, we are less safe. There are now many more terrorist, suicide terrorist attack against Americans around the world have become everything in the region that we are. And that we're in, like Pakistan and Afghanistan, much more than there was before 9/11. So, Osama bin Laden said, okay, you're coming over here and you're going to fight us over here, you'll fight us on our sand. In other words, you're much closer here, we'll just kill you over here. There's no benefit for our national security. Our national security is undermined by being over there. And our economic security is being undermined. Drafted in the 1960s, and you wouldn't be surprised, but I'm absolutely opposed to military draft for anybody. I was in for 5 years, and I was in during the Vietnam War. I never went to Vietnam. I was a flight surgeon, but thought a lot about war. I didn't have the same views then. I was much younger and not studied enough and didn't understand the ramifications. But I had a lot of questions and doubts in my mind, but I didn't feel as strongly as I do now. But I do remember Korea War. Of course, that was a UN war. We went to war on a UN banner. We're still there. It's time to come home. Yeah! We've been there about 30 years, and then we don't like to say it, but we lost. We had to leave in humiliation. And the real tragedy is the loss of 60,000 it's just utterly tragic because it's not necessary. It's not like defending your homeland, where every single one of us would defend our homeland, but it's going up there just looking for trouble. Guess what? Was there the domino effect that they said, oh, if we leave, there will be a domino sweep of communism all over the Middle East? Well, it turns out the Chinese are our bankers and the Vietnamese are our trading partners, and we invest money over there and their president comes visit us. It proves the founder's point. You don't get involved in the internal affairs of other nations. You don't get involved in these squabbles around the world. What you do is you promote free trade, trade with people, talk with people, and be friends with people. You can achieve a lot more in peace than you ever can with war. There's also a war going on in this country, a war against the American people and the American people's civil liberties. And it's for all kinds of reasons. It could be the IRS. They like to know what you're doing with your money, and they tend to invade our privacy, and they know every financial transaction we ever do. And that encroachment is expanding. You know, they pass a medical care bill, which is going to make medical care free and cheap for everybody. At the same time, they slip into that high taxes and a provision that says that any $600 transaction you have to send a 1099 to the federal government and to the IRS. Hopefully, I don't expect miracles after the election, but hopefully at least we can get that part repealed. Our civil liberties are violated routinely, and it came out of the atmosphere, and I don't belittle the people who were concerned after 9/11. That was a horrendous, day for us. But we can't continue to do the wrong things and not change anything. And what have we done? Of course, we've undermined, our liberties even more so. Before 9/11, we were spending $40 billion a year on gathering intelligence. I would say the intelligence gathering service is not doing very well. So guess what? We're spending $80 billion now. Yep. And I doubt if they're doing any better at all either. But, we're told that it has nothing to do, if you suggest to them that our foreign policy has something to do with it, that means you're un-American, you hate America, you hate the troops, and you're unpatriotic. And that the only thing you're allowed to believe is that they want to kill us because we're free and prosperous. That is what they tell us. And I would say that our government has been doing a very good job. They're making us less free and less prosperous, but I doubt it's going to solve the problem.
Inside job!
Most of us in this country understand...
Psychological warfare!
Most of us in this country understand pretty well the principle of the First Amendment, that we have religious freedom, that we can practice our religion. We don't have an official religion. Even that has been under attack, but basically it's pretty well understood. So our religion has to do with our eternity and our spiritual life, and that's pretty important. And then our intellectual life is pretty well protected too. In a university like this, I'm sure there's diverse attitudes and talk. It has to be. You have Austrian economics that you're discussing, so that's very important. But in other areas, it is assumed that you're not smart enough to take care of your own lives. One time I was sitting on the House floor, sitting beside another gentleman that happened not to share my views, but we were friends, and he voted for something up there. I can't remember what it was, but it was a violation of personal liberties. And the assumption was that people needed some help. I said, why are you voting for this? Why do you have to tell people what to do with their lives all the time? He says, they're too stupid to know what to do. Now, when he said that casually and honestly, and that is what they think. That is what they need, want the nanny state. They're smart, you're dumb. They know what you should do, what you should look at and read, what you should put in your mouth, what you should put in your lungs, whether you can take vitamins or alternative medicine. They want to tell you everything because they figure you're too stupid to know yourself. Now that doesn't endorse the principle of liberty that I like. You know, we live in a time now which is rather strange. They claim that we have a free country, but you know, if for some reason you wanted to have your family drink raw milk, you run into interference by the federal government. When did it come about where the federal government tells you whether or not you're allowed to drink raw milk or not? You know, we should have those rights. Freedom, though, is, in a way, a double-edged sword. There are some problems with freedom. There's one problem is that, the freedom only works if you accept those principles by saying, yes, it's my life, but I am not allowed to hurt anybody else or take anybody else's property. That is there's to be no violence, and yet not initiate violence. But the other thing that it requires is tolerance, because individuals are different. If you have a true understanding of what freedom is all about, you bring diversity together. If you think you can bring people together in any other way, I don't know what it is, because as soon as you start talking about people having rights because they belong to a group, and they get benefits because they belong to a group, or they get penalties belong to a group, that's wrong. We have our rights because we are individuals, and we're tolerant of other people who use their liberties in a different way. But the big thing is, if you make mistakes under that system, you cannot say, well, yeah, I did. I smoked too many cigarettes, and now I'm sick, and I need help, so I'm going to my neighbor through the government, and you take care of me for the rest of my life. No, you should assume the responsibility for yourself, not only in the positive way that you keep the fruits of your labor, but in the negative way that if you mess up, it's your fault.